I sent you the statute. You've had 3 weeks to talk to the lawyers about it. So let's jump in. Mr. Long, is it illegal for the president to direct the IRS to revoke a taxpayer's nonprofit status?
In the first place, he wouldn't do that. He's not going to come to me and say that. That's not my question,
Mr. Long. Please don't start down this.
Are we on section 7212 or 7217?
I'm at 26 U.S.C. 7217. Do I need to read it to you?
Prohibits any member of the executive branch to request the IRS to conduct or terminate an audit on a taxpayer.
All righty. So is it illegal?
I'm going to follow the law. And if that's the law, yes.
Okay, but I want you, that is the law.
Yeah.
So I just want to be clear. Is it illegal for the President of the United States to instruct the IRS to remove a taxpayer's nonprofit status?
Prohibits any member of the executive branch to request the IRS to conduct or terminate an audit of the taxpayer.
Is that a yes?
I'd have to go to the lawyers at the IRS to tell me.
No, come on. You just read it.
I know, but I don't see the instance that you're speaking about in there. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't see.
Look, it says it shall be unlawful for any applicable person, which in this case includes the president, to request directly or indirectly any officer or employee of the Internal Revenue Service to conduct or terminate an audit or other investigation of any particular taxpayer. Is it illegal for the president to instruct the IRS to remove nonprofit status from a taxpayer?
I'm not going to have the answer that you need, and I apologize, but like I said.
Why are you not having the answer? You've had 3 weeks to consult with lawyers. The statute is about as clear as plain English.
Well, if I say I'm going to follow the law, why would you need to ask me the question?
Well, because I want to make sure that you understand what the law says. If you think follow the law means you just get to make it up on the spot, then, Bud, you don't get to be the IRS commissioner.
I said I would.
The point here is to follow the law as it is written. And I'm asking what I think is a pretty simple question. Can the President of the United States legally tell the IRS to change someone's nonprofit status?
I'm not able to answer.
You can't read these words and tell what those words say?
I can read the statute, and I did.
All right, then tell me what they mean.
I mean, is it truly worth it for these Trump officials to debase themselves to this degree? Is a job truly worth putting yourself in the public eye so that you can pretend you can't understand basic English? I mean, honestly, if these people crawled any further up Donald Trump's ass, they would be able to touch the back of his teeth. In fact, Warren literally has to go word by word to make sure that Trump's IRS commissioner understands basic English.
What does it mean to say that a person, an applicable person here, that's the president, right?
Yes.
All right. Cannot directly or indirectly, right, tell any officer or employee, that would be you, of the Internal Revenue Service to conduct or terminate an audit or other investigation of any particular taxpayer. What part do you not understand here?
It seems to be a nonprofit. I don't see exactly what it refers to.
Any taxpayer to start an investigation of any taxpayer.
If it's illegal, I'm not going to allow it to happen in my IRS.
Is it illegal? That's the question.
Me and you will be friends then. I want to be your friend anyway, but we will be on the same page. I'm going to follow the law, and if that's point blank the law.
What do you understand the law to be saying about the president telling the IRS in his dealings with any particular taxpayer? What do you understand this law to be saying?
I think it sounds like it's saying what you're saying, but I've got a little bit of the section here, and I looked at it. I talked to an attorney that used to be at the IRS and now going to maybe be back at the IRS, and I'm sorry if I don't have the answer.
What, you mean the lawyers told you they couldn't understand this?
The what?
The lawyers told you they couldn't understand this?
I didn't say that.
Well, then tell me, what part do you not understand? It says no person, and you've said that's the president, that includes the president. cannot instruct any officer, that would be you, of the IRS to conduct or to terminate an audit or other investigation for any particular taxpayer.
I don't intend to let anybody direct me to start audit for political reasons or any other type of reason.
Does that include the President of the United States?
That's anyone.
Can you say yes, that the President of the United States cannot tell the IRS what to do?
I can tell them they're not going to tell me what to do. I can't speak for if there's other agents at the IRS that you're talking about, but I'm telling you what I don't want to have happen in my IRS.
You know, Mr. Long, you'd have a lot more credibility if you just say yes. It's clear that the statute makes it illegal for the president to direct the IRS vis-a-vis any particular taxpayer. And the fact that you want to sit there and dance around about this tells me that you shouldn't be within 1,000 miles of the directorship of the IRS.
Again, what job is worth sacrificing your dignity like this? Is the pleasure of serving in the White House of the most corrupt president in history truly worth making your mark in the history books as the guy who pretends not to understand what a single line of very easy to understand law says because it's just that clear that Donald Trump intends to violate it? And don't take my word for it that that's what Trump and Republicans intend to do. Buried deep in their 389-page tax proposal, all the way on page 380 is a provision that would give Donald Trump and his Treasury Department unprecedented power to strip nonprofits of their tax-exempt status. And this isn't some minor regulatory change. This is a deliberate attempt to weaponize the tax code against organizations that Donald Trump and Republicans don't like. The provision would allow the Treasury Secretary to revoke the tax-exempt status of any nonprofit deemed a terrorist-supporting organization. Sounds reasonable on its face, right? Except for one massive, glaring problem. There is absolutely no definition of what constitutes supporting terrorism and no due process for organizations to defend themselves. Let me be crystal clear about what this really is. It is a political weapon designed to silence opposition and punish Trump's enemies. This isn't speculation. Trump has already openly threatened to revoke Harvard's tax-exempt status over political disagreements, for example. He's already floated the idea of targeting environmental groups through executive order. This bill would make those threats a reality. This would codify weaponized government. As Diane Yentl, CEO of the National Council of Nonprofits, put it, this would hand unchecked power to administration officials to punish organizations that do not fall in line with the administration's ideology without due process, without a third-party investigation, and without public evidence. That's not how democracy works. That is how autocracy works, and it's not just lefty, progressive groups sounding the alarm. This has created widespread panic across the entire nonprofit sector, from environmental groups to civil liberties organizations to religious charities, because all of them understand that when you give this kind of unchecked power to one administration, nobody is safe. Think about what this would actually mean in practice. If your nonprofit advocates for Palestinian rights, tax-exempt status revoked. If your environmental organization opposes oil drilling, tax-exempt status revoked. If your university allows student protests against policies that Trump supports, tax-exempt status revoked. And losing tax-exempt status isn't just some minor inconvenience. For most nonprofits, it is a death sentence. It would mean that they would have to pay taxes on donations, their donors would lose tax deductions for contributing, and many of these organizations would simply collapse overnight. This is economic warfare against civil society. And let's be honest about why they're doing it. It is revenge, plain and simple. Trump and Republicans are furious that many universities and environmental groups and civil rights organizations have opposed their policies. They are furious that these institutions have criticized them. They are furious that young people are protesting on college campuses. So rather than engage with the criticism and address the actual issues, they're just trying to use the power of the federal government to silence dissent, to crush their opponents, because something, First Amendment rights. The truth is that this is what dictators do. They don't win arguments, they silence opposition by cutting off their funding and making it impossible for them to operate. That is exactly what this provision aims to accomplish. And it's no wonder that Donald Trump is on his way to succeeding with sycophants like this IRS commissioner doing his pathetic bidding. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, Signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.